What's that?
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
You're kidding.
Thing, really, it's just a metaphor.
Just to be sure, there's a spoiler. 8 episodes into Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, it's very clear why the show is titled that way. Georgie Cooper and Mandy McAllister have managed to keep their shared home stable so far. But in Season 1, Episode 8, Diet Crap, the first rock has been thrown. And while the issues get resolved by the end of the episode in typical TV sitcom fashion, the crack in their marriage is still there. It doesn't make sense to call this a mid-season premiere because there's hardly anything special about it. CBS, more or less, cut the first season of the Young Sheldon spinoff straight down the middle without the thought of spicing up Diet Crap to kick off the new year with a strong start. As much as Diet Crap resembles a recycled episode that hits all the usual worn-out sitcom tropes, it does shift the established sympathy from one universally liked character to another, suggesting who the show's true main character is.
Hold on, you were right there.
Yeah, watching you do it for me.
I was just trying to help.
Well, I didn't ask for your help.
Welcome to Movie Spy. The title of the Young Sheldon spinoff is beginning to make sense. Diet Crap shows why this is a first marriage. Mandy's story has always revolved around her search for purpose as a woman in the 1990s, even to the end of Young Sheldon. To some, her desperation to prove herself without anyone's help may come off as aggravating, but this is the reality a lot of women deal with. A woman's journey to establish herself as an independent person who can do it all is a timeless challenge. This narrative alone is the beginning of Mandy's hero arc, if there has to be a good guy or a bad guy in her and Georgie's eventual divorce. In Diet Crap, Mandy falls victim to a door-to-door salesperson scheme to put her college degree to good use. The idea that her 18-year-old husband, who doesn't even have a high school diploma, is the breadwinner.
And keep in mind, sales is all about communication, and what do I have a degree in?
Are you going to tell me or not?
Weighs on her, and Georgie unintentionally rubs it in her face by stepping in to make the sales for her. Almost everyone in Mandy's life doesn't really believe in her, except for her dad, Jim.
No, I was thinking maybe we should buy some of Mandy's Diet Crap, get her started.
Really?
Her mother, Audrey, infantilizes her by comparing her new job to her Girl Scout days of selling cookies. Even Georgie subconsciously thinks that Mandy isn't salesperson material. The only people that understand Mandy's identity crisis are other mothers in a doctor's waiting room. Georgie and Mandy accentuate the sad reality that many women only find compassion and community with each other. No matter how hard some men try to understand, they will never have to be in the positions of women because of privilege. That is what may lead to this divorce after all. Mandy is still a long way from a hard wake-up call, but Diet Crap sets the precedent for what she'll tolerate in the future. Mandy and Georgie's 11-year age gap is very prevalent in this episode, not due to their differences in work experience, but their emotional maturity. Georgie continues to support his wife on a surface level by doing her job for her and taking relationship advice from a facile book without even questioning it. Georgie's pattern of superficial love stems all the way back to Young Sheldon, when he essentially trapped Mandy in a marriage by lying to her about his age and performing fleeting acts of romance to win her heart.
Wait, how old are you?
19.
Now you know why he lied.
The surprising part about Diet Crap is that Georgie and Mandy are aware that there is an aura of delusion in this marriage, which is hiding the couple's incompatibility. Georgie and Mandy is gradually chipping away at Mandy's lack of self-confidence, allowing her to slowly realize that she deserves so much better, which is the right track for this character. Georgie and Mandy's biggest problem is actually a technical one. The Young Sheldon spinoff doesn't let the comedy simmer. As much as this show understands its characters' flaws, it doesn't really get comedy. It's tough to say that Georgie and Mandy's first marriage isn't really that funny. The show's forced jokes and stereotypical ragging on traditional heteronormative dynamics have somehow gotten worse over the first season. Georgie and Mandy is basically the younger sibling of The Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon that kind of has to figure itself out because the parents were too tired to do their job. What could be the true source of the unamusing lifeblood is a technical and writing blunder, and Diet Crap is a perfect example of this. In a 30-minute episode, which includes ad breaks, the series has to move fast. Sitcoms typically have to cut to the chase to get the punchline out, let the audience react, finish the scene, and then move on to the next. But in Georgie and Mandy, half the jokes that audiences are laughing at aren't funny or intelligent, and scenes aren't properly concluded. Whenever there is a humorous joke, the scene doesn't marinate before making an unripe transition. But Georgie and Mandy isn't completely lacking a funny bone. There are moments where it's obvious the show knows how to strike a comedic tune. It just doesn't happen often enough. One of the best technical sequences of the entire series thus far happens in Diet Crap, through a montage of Mandy getting the door slammed in her face, trying to sell diet products, gradually getting more exhausted and demoralized with every rejection. That's the high standard Georgie and Mandy should be holding itself up to, but sadly most of the episode stays at a pretty low bar. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage needs to retire its exhausted tropes. By paying homage to 90s sitcoms, the show has already become outdated. For what it's worth, Georgie and Mandy is a cute show, though it would probably work better as a dramedy at this point. The cast's strong performances are the beating heart of this series, especially those of actors Will Sasso and Rachel Bay Jones when they pull out of their characters' archetypes. But those archetypes are the model on which the show is basing its jokes, which itself is another problem. Part of the intended charm of Georgie and Mandy is that the nostalgia of the 1990s should naturally reproduce the greatest era of sitcoms. But there's a reason why even the most top-rated sitcoms of that decade wouldn't be created today. There are too many overdone tropes that have become obsolete. Mandy being duped into a multi-level marketing scheme that requires her to pay $1,200 up front is nothing television hasn't done before. Young Sheldon even tackled it in Season 5, Episode 12, A Pink Cadillac and a Glorious Tribal Dance, when Mary was roped into a shady business plan similar to Mary Kay Cosmetics. It's not as if MLMs were only a thing in the 90s. They're much more popular today because of social media. Georgie and Mandy at least appear to be giving more depth to Connor McAllister as more than just a copycat Sheldon Cooper. He's by far one of the more naturally funny characters by simply existing as his blunt and plain self, courtesy of actor Dougie Baldwin. Comedy is one of the hardest genres for an actor, but Baldwin makes it look so easy. Diet Crap makes it hard to tell what the timeline of Georgie and Mandy's first marriage will be. If it plans to go on for as long as Young Sheldon, the titular characters are going to be in a fizzling cycle of toxicity for all eternity. There is a sign that the series may not last as long as one might expect. Lance Barber will return as George Cooper, likely in a flashback. Since George was always his son's voice of reason, this could be Georgie's turning point to make things right for himself and his wife. But unless Georgie and Mandy add new life and vigor into its story, this show and the marriage are both at risk. Thanks for watching.